I want to thank everyone for participating in today's webinar. If you sat in last week's webinar, we discussed just kind of what's new in eNTERFACE. Today we're actually going to be highlighting our brand new app, our payroll application. So we're real excited to kind of walk you through that today. We are if you have any questions or would like to know a little bit more about the eNTERFACE application, you can visit www.oneappforall.com. That's the number one app for all, and there you can explore and learn and actually get some you can download the manual today on the training section, but you will be able to get trained on here as well. Today we are going to explore and talk a little bit about payroll. So in payroll, I'm going to show you a couple of different ways companies can implement eNTERFACE for using payroll, whether it be through the standard form process in eNTERFACE or whether that be through using the actual payroll app that we'll show you today. Now, what I did in the live webinars, I actually walked through a little bit of an overview of what eNTERFACE is and how you can use eNTERFACE for different kind of the new features. I think it was called What's New in eNTERFACE. I'm not going to do that today, but I'm going to point you to One App for All, our blog, where you can actually go watch last or 2 weeks ago's webinar on what's new with eNTERFACE and get a little bit more information. And of course, you can always just explore eNTERFACE in the normal One App for All page. So let's go ahead and jump right in to this week's webinar, and we're going to talk specifically about our payroll app. So before I jump too far in here, I'm going to show you kind of the main hub for payroll entry. Essentially, we've got our employees and how many hours they worked and what cost codes that they worked on. So if I come into my crew-based timesheet, I'm going to show you this is what we can fill out directly from our with our guys out in the field, or we can actually feed this through standard eNTERFACE forms. And I'll show you that example, but before we got started, I wanted to kind of show you this landing pad here. So for example, if I'm going to add some contract employees here, or I'm sorry, just add maybe a crew. Sorry, select a crew there. If I was going to add a crew, and I'll just call this Chris's crew, and add members. We can have a list of employees obviously on this crew, and then I can enter in their time, and then all the time feeds this application. I'm not going to get too much into here just yet, but I just wanted to kind of show everybody this. We can feed this information. If this might be a little too complicated, this screen, this grid-based screen, or maybe I want this specifically on a phone. You appreciate there's a lot going on here. It's sometimes difficult real estate-wise to put that on a phone. So what we can actually do is we can feed this timesheet through a standard payroll form. So for example, if I go down into here and I'm going to go to find a form, I can actually have a standard employee timesheet that I build through the standard form wizard. And if you're not sure what the form wizard is, I definitely encourage you to look at the previous webinar. It kind of walks you through that. But the standard form wizard allows you to set up any form that you'd like with proper validations. So for example, if I wanted to, I could actually have this scale to fit on a phone or something along those lines, where they could fill this out manually there on the mobile device, rather than have it be such a desktop type application. So for example, here, this is one that I just did for an example. Here's the week ending date. Here's the weekly time. I can select the date of the week, the job that I'm working on. If I'm working on Northwest, here there could be lookups or whatever the case. Here I can select my department or my cost code. This is just kind of a standard form, 3 hours or 7 hours of regular time. And then I could come down here and even offer signatures here, or I could e-sign it if I had one saved. But essentially what this allows me to do is control the timesheet for specific users. So to kind of stop right here and hover, one of the tremendous advantages of eNTERFACE in regards to payroll is that you can control on a employee by employee basis their timesheet. So for example, if you're a general contractor but you self-perform concrete, you might as well be a specialty concrete contractor in that division of your company, so your needs are different than all the other salaried positions or more of the management positions. So what this allows us to do is that we could have a concrete division timesheet, or an individual employee timesheet, or we could have a crew-based timesheet, and have all of that feed one central payroll system, which is a tremendous value alongside all my other forms that I may ever want to roll out. So not only are we building the timesheet here, but this is also the same place that they're going to fill out their field purchase requests, their daily reports, anything that we may want to send in from the field. We can do that all from this one central system. So now I'm going to jump back into the payroll system, and I'm going to just kind of give you a real brief overview of what the payroll system is and how it works. Essentially, we can set up crews. So if you're a crew-based company, we can set up crews predefined. If I jumped in here and wanted to edit this crew-based timesheet, I can come in here and quickly remove someone. Adding employees is very easy because I can hand select whichever ones that I want and add them to this crew and submit. So we have this functionality is very good. We can do the same thing as well with contracted employees. Pieces of equipment, we can build your equipment list in here very easily, so we can apply that in the same way that we do time. We can also have specific job-based prices for those equipment, so we can select jobs and the material and give it a specific price for that particular job. So if we're working with material and equipment, we can do that. We also offer activity options. So for example, if the field may not know what the cost code is for mortar work or bricklaying, they can just call it mortar work, and we can associate a particular cost code with that particular activity. So we call that activity options. Now, these are kind of all we have to build this all on the front end. But once we have built all this activity, we've got our crews, our employees, our contract employees, pieces of equipment, material set up in here. Then we have 3 different options within the Payroll app on top of having the form wizard be able to feed this. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to show you this crew-based timesheet, and the way that I'm going to show it to you is I'm going to start from scratch and just create one. Now, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to create a timesheet, and I'm going to select it for the job, and let's just say this is going to be the FEMA job, and I'm going to say it started Monday, and I can give it a description if I want to. That's not necessary. And now you see that this is where I've set up my job, and it's got the job number, the job name, my start and end time, and now I've got a blank timesheet here. So this could be done at corporate to be able and route it out to the field so that they don't have to do this necessarily. You could build the crews for them, or they could build their crews. They can add crew members on the fly. Here. So if they actually selected them, they could go hand select who's with them for the day, or they could go and select from a predefined crew, where it's say Chris's crew, and I'm gonna add those crew members, and then I can also add to this if I needed to. Like let's just say that this is Chris's crew, with the only exception that I'm going to have to add Patrick as well, and I'm going to add him to my crew alongside everybody else for Chris's crew. So we can have late additions and things like that, maybe one-off guys that might step into the job late or something along those lines. So this is the grid-based screen. I appreciate we wrote this for companies that were currently using Excel and that liked that grid-based functionality. For Tom Brooks, if I'm going to fill out his time card, and let's just say this is his cost code, I could have his activity code, regular, and I'm going to give him 8 hours for each of his days this week so far. But on Wednesday, he only had 6 hours on that cost code. I'm going to save that and then apply back here an additional cost code of this for regular time, and he worked 2 hours on that cost code. So I can offer this kind of grid-based activity, multi-line cost coding per employee. You can see it's totaling their hours here, so you see it's totaling on the bottom right here, but it's also totaling here up on the preview, and it's also going to total my entire crew up here as well. So as I add employees, I can get a snapshot as far as how many hours that I've put in for that crew. So this is all applicable throughout the entire process of entering in time. Now we also have our materials underneath here where we could add those, all the different materials that we set up, flatbed truck, anything that we might have been using, and offering hours or consumption amounts here for the material or the equipment. We can do that. We can also put notes on this as well for notification purposes, approval notes, things along those lines. So that is our crew-based timesheet. Now sometimes though we may want to actually offer timesheets for crew daily timesheets. Just tell me what jobs you work on with your crew and how many hours. So what we can actually do here is we can come into that same job and select our date and find the timesheet to enter. And this will actually allow me to fill out just the time for that particular day, for that particular crew. And what's nice about this is that this is generally for those guys that want to do a daily on a phone. So just whatever that activity code is, and you see as it shrinks to fit, it actually hides the dates that are not applicable and only shows you the date that's actually live for filling out time. So this way, if everybody on this crew worked 8 hours, they can come in here and apply, and this will now apply 8 hours to everyone in that crew. So it's a very simple timesheet that you can use for kind of the daily crew-based time entry. And this is all part of the same app. This will now feed as well the main timesheet application, just like I showed you earlier, or the main crew-based weekly, just filled out on a daily basis. And the last piece of our timesheet is our employee time. The employee time is where, and I'll show you an example here. It's same logic in the crew-based time. It's just flipped on its head. So instead of getting job information, you actually have employee information here. And instead of selecting your employees for your job, you're actually just going to select all the jobs that you worked on and then add those jobs down here to a crew-based timesheet. And then you can add your different cost codes for the different jobs that you worked on. So this is and you can save each one by job. So it's a pretty neat little application. We can hand this out. So if you have some of those journeyman employees, they can go and fill in their time from this particular level as well. So once all this time has been filled out, we have routing where the timesheets will be routed. They're going to be filled out and saved. Your managers for the jobs, they'll actually come in, and I actually have a bunch of timesheets in here to approve. I haven't done them yet, but essentially I'm an approver. I can actually come in. There's a little check mark here, and I can actually approve all of these time transactions. Generally, I'd have only one or two in my dashboard, but you can actually come in and approve time for the different individuals here, approve the time, make any edits that might be needed, add notes if you want to, whatever the case, to go ahead and approve this time. So once you've gone and you've approved your time as an approver, you can will now dump all that into a payroll into a database where now we can run our time reports off of in our system, or we can do imports into your existing accounting applications for payroll. So we integrate currently. We push into Sage 100 Master Builder, Sage 300 Timberline, Computer Ease, Viewpoint, and I believe that's all of them so far that we do. And depending on each application, the imports do change. Some of them have imports already, very well defined. Others are kind of copy and paste functionality. We are focusing on some automation with all of those applications to be able to seamlessly bring those the data consumption in. But essentially, when I come in here to run a particular search on a document, I'm going to come in here and I'll just kind of show you what that looks like here. We can run a report, and that can actually dump out into an Excel file here for previewing. And once this is done opening, it'll show you here. So see, this it only had one timesheet, but it does all of the totaling for you. You can imagine it can do this entire grid. We can do custom reports for you if you'd like to do that. You see the tabs down here for employee and material. All of this information is right here in the actual report for you to preview. And this can all be customized. So on top of, when we go back to the reports, you can have your reports for maybe snapshotting, analysis on profit and loss for that particular day or for that particular week. You can build all that into this system. We can build those reports for you, or you can use the ones that are currently in there. And then we would also have your import report also built into here as well, based off of your application. So that's the only thing that changes the variable, is which application you're on and which import that we prepare for you. So that is a very short way of our payroll application, of looking at that. We definitely encourage you to continue exploring eNTERFACE and looking at all the different ways that you can use our payroll application, as well as all the different ways that you can use eNTERFACE. So definitely encourage you to explore oneappforall.com. Follow us on Twitter and LinkedIn if you're not doing that already. And we definitely appreciate y'all sitting in on today's recording of yesterday's webinar. Thank you so much.